Gentlemen, thanks for joining us for this special episode of the Quad Damage Podcast. Just to kick things off then, and giving a little background upon yourself and your game. What is it that inspired you to make a 6 Degrees of Freedom flying game? Were there any particular titles or genres, perhaps, that inspired you to make this particular type of game?
Yeah, so the starting point there was we first been working on this sci-fi submarine game. Problem there was the game never really got into a good shape. It always kind of was awkward.
Right.
So we still wanted to do something vehicle related for different reasons. I'm just fond of that kind of game actually. And I always really liked Descent and Forsaken, and I always really wanted to do a game like that. So that's really where the idea came from. I just suggested we do a 6-stuff game, and Thomas was just in, so
straight away.
Into it. Yeah. And in terms of inspirations, aside from Descent, Forsaken, and probably some other 6-stuffs I'm forgetting, Overload, of course, at least for me, this Serious Sam is also a big inspiration.
Serious Sam?
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite franchises, but I would have not looked at Desecrators and thought that Serious Sam was an inspiration if you were to just take a screenshot of it. You know, it's all in the gameplay, no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. Just like you said, the graphics is inspired by those old 6-stuff games, but like the feeling of the gameplay, I don't know how to describe it, the preciseness maybe, how satisfying it is to use the weapons and how the enemies react. A lot of that is from Serious Sam, because I always really liked the gameplay there.
Yeah. Crow Team, they know what they do when it comes to that sort of thing. When I first booted up the game and started playing it, initially it reminded me of Unreal. I felt that it had a very Unreal, like the original, like 1998 Unreal game. It had that sort of vibe to it. And then I started blasting things, and I wasn't very good at the game to begin with. I didn't realize you had to blast the gates open and stuff. So I was going around the room trying to figure out what to do before I figured out to blast the gate open, and then it was off to the horses. But Thomas, how did you get into gaming? How did you get to the point where you're like, yeah, I'm going to be on board with this project?
Well, I mean, it was actually we had a common friend who said to us, "Hey, you should try making a game together."
Yeah.
So we tried, and especially back then, I was very much a programmer first and game dev as a second thing.
Yeah.
So for me, it was the fun technical challenge in the game Oliver proposed that really caught me up.
Nice. So you didn't know each other before you met to do this game?
We knew each other, drinking partners, I guess.
Drinking partners. There was many a night out there just knocking them back and just talking video games and stuff. Yeah. So in relation to the actual game itself, how did the two of you approach things like realism, that sort of thing, and accessibility, so that you were able to cater to both, I don't want to say Descent fans, but 6 Degrees of Freedom fans, and also cater to casual gamers?
So I think that there are really, you can see 3 categories, because you have Descent fans, Overload fans, then you have the hardcore boomer shooter players, but who don't really know fans, they don't know Descent, and then you have more casual players.
Yeah.
And I don't think we really needed to do much for the hardcore 6 Degrees of Freedom fans, as long as we didn't have any barriers toward playing them. Like, we have this auto level system where every group has an up direction, and then it kind of takes care of that direction on your own. You have less to worry about.
Yeah.
If you can disable that, then we don't really need to worry too much about the really hardcore Descent people, because they can figure out everything themselves.
Yeah.
If I could add something there, that is, at least from my perspective, a big part of it is just the controls. Like, if you don't have good feeling controls in the 6 stuff, it's just never gonna work.
Yeah.
So we spent so much time like working on the physics, just how the controls feel. Because you have to balance it with you're controlling the ship. It has momentum, it has physics, it has to feel like a spaceship. But if it feels too much like a spaceship, it feels floaty. People feel like they don't have control. They feel sick. So I think just making the controls feels good and responsive, you can really bring people in who maybe don't even really play sick stuff, because like good feelings controls is just universal for. I think this is kind of a boomer shooter. I think that the movement is like 80% of it. So
very true.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of the old Red Faction games with those vehicle sections and the art style. Very like accessible without sacrificing the immersion factor of it all.
Yeah, so that's actually a good point. I was focusing on the differences, but a lot of it is also just, I mean, going to people, giving them a Steam Deck or giving a mouse and keyboard laptop. Someone who doesn't seem familiar with Descent and see how do they fare. Can you just pick it up? And then maybe we can add some hints or some other helpful tools for the less experienced people. And I hope a lot of these tools also end up helping the more hardcore players.
Are you familiar with the boomer shooter scene?
A bit, yeah. Mainly as a consumer.
Yeah. What games have you played? Not putting you on the spot.
No. Ultra Kill, Proteus.
Oh.
Some of the Dustman games. What was it? Don't remember the name.
There's a few of them. I'm looking forward to Dead Trash, which is coming out in a few days. But a lot of people like Reverend, a lot of people like Satan, which just came out as well.
Yeah, it was Satan. I played through that.
Yeah, I can't believe it's made an easy FPS editor. It's some very talented
just about all
people.
Of them are, aren't they?
They are, yeah. It's the specialty. And I was joking with Sam. I was saying like anything that you publish has a grimy look to it, and anything that you make in house has this nice clean look to it as well. It's With you were mentioning how you cater to the casual players out there. Then, so how when you're sitting down and you're designing the control scheme, tell me from your perspective as a developer, because we are not developers. How do you ensure that things like motion sickness and stuff like that are not a factor for people?
So it will. This kind of sick stuff will always be some people who just can't play it.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing for those people are the ability to refund the game.
Oh, okay.
So
you added the refund feature.
So
very easy to use.
Yeah,
but there are also things you can do, as Oliver said, the control feeling. And another part is there should be high enough frames per second. That's one thing that I think Microsoft did some research on it, where as FPS increases to some limit, I don't remember what it is, it decreases the number of people who get motion sickness.
Yeah. I'd like to know what that figure is. I think as a PC gamer, you kind of take high frame rates for granted, and it's only when you go back to like playing on console or something that playing at 30 FPS you're like, oh my god, it's a slideshow, I can't see anything going on right now. But yeah, I'd like to check out what that was then. So do you have an unlimited frame cap, or are you gunning for a particular figure when it comes to frame rates?
Our hope is really the whatever the screen is set at.
Yeah.
But you can choose it. You can choose to set the unlimited or VSync or whatever.
Yeah.
Because maybe if you're on a laptop or some battery device, then having unlimited can really drain the battery.
Yeah.